pyrite and ignores a call from his mother on his way out. Moments later while he's working, a snake suddenly bites his hand before crawling away. Then he becomes delirious. A few hours later, Ish hasn't moved and his hand is terribly swollen. In the evening he crawls out of bed to get more water, but his movements are so clumsy that he spills it, so he has to suck it from the floor. Many days later Ish wakes up feeling better and his hand is back to normal. Ish drives to town and is surprised to find the streets empty. Eventually he stops the car when he discovers a rotting body on the ground. On a road sign he reads that there's been a global pandemic and the US government has been suspended. When he makes it to his family home, Ish is devastated to discover both his parents are dead. He buries his parents in the backyard with a kiss on the forehead as goodbye. Then he picks up a bunch of supplies including a gun and drives to the bridge, only to find it's Vegas, which is also completely deserted. Later he goes to a bar to get a drink and drops the glass when he's startled by a voice. These are Milton and Anne, who explains they're immune and got stuck here when it all started. Milton has recorded the announcement on his phone and shows it to Ish, who learns the virus is new and nobody knows where it came from. Suddenly Ish admits that his parents had told him there was a new sickness around, but he hadn't thought it was this serious. Milton and Anne tell him all nations fell, so probably there are only a handful of survivors like them around the world. And before leaving, Ish asks Anne to come with him. She turns him down but still kisses him. Furious, Ish drives down the road at dangerous speed and almost hits a dog, but he stops just in time. Not knowing what else to do, Ish returns to his old house to start a new life with Lucky. A year later, Ish is still alive. He keeps himself busy with chores and exercise. One morning he hears Lucky barking and looks out the window to see smoke in the distance. Emma appears on the roof with a gun, but she puts it down when Ish explains his situation. She invites him in and tells him she arrived a few days ago while sharing tea and bread. They get along pretty well, so when Ish tries to leave, Emma tells him to stay the night. The next morning Ish convinces her to come live with him so they can keep each other company. While Emma looks around the house, Ish gets rid of the noose he'd hung up when he felt hopeless. Cass and Emma and Ish find a new routine together. They plant vegetables and go fishing for food. In town, animals appear on the streets because there are no people to stop them. Emma gives Ish a haircut and he starts building a chicken coop, hoping they can start a farm. Eventually their relationship turns intimate. He also begins building solar panels on top of the house. One morning, he accidentally slips off the roof and falls, hurting his ankle in the process. And later while he's sleeping, she looks at old pictures of her family and cries. When Ish gets better he immediately starts building again. Emma announces she's pregnant and Ish freaks out, hesitant to bring a kid to a post-apocalyptic world. Later, the couple's little farm is going well with plenty of vegetables and even a few chickens. However, Emma points out she needs protein, so Ish agrees to go hunting. He finds a bunch of cows and after lots of hesitation, he shoots one as he apologizes. Then he follows. Some days later, Ish finally finishes the solar panels and the house has power, which means they can store food in the fridge again. Emma's quick look through the window reveals that hundreds of rats have taken over the town and are now coming to their house. Ish realizes that the trash is attracting the rats, so he rushes outside to burn it all while Emma shoots at the rats that get too close. Unfortunately Ish has to burn what is left of the cow as well. Sudden crying noise reveals they forgot Lucky outside and he's being bitten by the rats. Ish has no choice but to open the door and quickly grab the dog before running back. Afterward Emma takes care of Lucky's wounds. This experience makes Ish afraid he may lose Emma during childbirth, so she finally confesses she gave birth to 2 daughters without complications. A few months later the rat infestation is finally under control thanks to the feral cats prowling in the streets. The couple can finally unseal the house and come out again. That day Emma starts feeling contractions and gets ready to give birth, however she discovers the baby's shoulder is coming out first. Ish wants to find the book that explains how to deal with this, but Emma yells at him and guides him on how to correct the position of the baby until the head is out first. This helps the birth go smoothly and now they're the proud parents of a healthy baby girl. Feeling hope for the future again, Emma paints their address on a wall in town, inviting survivors to join them. This is seen by a mysterious person in the distance. 6 years since the pandemic started, Ish is driving alone when he accidentally hits a lion. He grabs his gun and gets ready to mercy kill it, but at that moment he notices someone watching him from the woods. He runs after this person and tries to grab her, so the girl tries to defend herself. When Ish returns to his truck, he discovers the lion is gone and the girl has been following him. She accepts the apple he offers her and jumps on the back of the truck. Ish takes the girl to his house and it's revealed he and Emma have 2 kids now, been joined by 2 more survivors, Jorge and Maureen, not to mention Emma is pregnant again. Everyone is friendly toward the new girl, but at night, the girl sleeps in the truck. The next morning Maureen brings breakfast for the girl, who is startled and causes her to drop the dish. As the girl grabs her wrist, Maureen notices they have the same scars and shows her the ones on her chest. She also offers her hair for her to touch, gaining her trust. Afterward Maureen shares how she and Jorge arrived here thanks to the sign and convinces the girl to get a bath. Meanwhile Ish and Jorge go to the woods and discover 2 very rudimentary cabins with graves in the back. Soon Emma gives birth to a lovely baby boy named Joey. A year later, the group is having a nice day when suddenly the intruder alert goes off. After leaving the kids inside with Maureen, Ish, Emma, and Jorge grab their guns and go investigate. They find an armed woman named Molly, and after a little back and forth everyone agrees to put down their weapons. That evening Charlie shares his cigarettes with Jean, but she turns down the liquor. Charlie gets rather pushy and only backs off when Jorge comes out of the house. Meanwhile Emma is worried about her husband and starts getting ready to go looking for him, but at that moment Ish finally comes back. Emma scolds him for disappearing without a word, and Ish admits he's worried about what may happen if they find water. The next day the drill finally goes deep enough and water bursts out of the ground. While everyone celebrates, Ish tells Charlie to take the fuel and leave, but Charlie says he likes this place more than he thought. After that night, Ish hears a woman screaming and looks around to discover Charlie coming out of Evie's cottage while his friend Silas is keeping watch. Charlie ignores Ish's concerns and returns to his RV, where Perry is mad at him too. At the same time Ish goes to the cottage and finds Evie crying because Charlie took advantage of her. Afterward Ish goes looking for Charlie and asks him to leave. When Charlie refuses, the family surrounds him and Ish hits Charlie's head with a hammer. Once Charlie falls, Ish continues to furiously smash his head until he's dead. Ezra has to stop Ish as he loses his mind and keeps repeating "we had to." 20 years after the start of the pandemic, it's clear Earth is healing, thanks to the lack of humans. Joey and Corey have been working hard and have managed to build a modified version of Da Vinci's airplane. However, in the middle of the night Joey goes into his parents' room covered in sweat and suddenly passes out. Ish runs to look for Molly, only to discover Corey and other members are sick as well. Molly points out this is moving too fast so it can't be a common cold and suspects it may be related to the original virus. Ish begins arguing with her over how to proceed, but they get interrupted when Perry arrives saying she's also sick. Soon the entire household is helping Molly take care of the sick people. Still in denial, Ish takes care of Joey in his room and has a vision of Charlie watching them. As time passes, Ish spends most of his hours sitting next to Joey, which makes Alex angry because he knows his father wouldn't be as worried if he was the sick one. One day, they saw some numbers with an arrow painted on a building. They started to follow them and found the same arrows painted on other buildings, trees, and even rocks, but they never took them anywhere. Eventually they decided to stay a few days on top of a mountain. Suddenly they heard a noise and a strange man appeared in the woods. Heather tried to follow him, but he ran away. When the couple returned to their tent, the man reappeared and grabbed Raif from behind. Raif tried to fight him, but the man retaliated by stabbing him with a knife. A furious Heather immediately threw an axe at him, killing him. Raif only got to say goodbye before dying as well. Ish picks up Joey and takes him to Molly, who explains the medicine may take a few days to take effect. Since Joey is burning with fever, Ish gives him a freezing bath. A few days later, everyone is starting to feel better. Molly explains this is a strain of the original virus and she can only treat it because it's weaker. Meanwhile Corey asks Heather for a description of the man that killed Raif and realizes it was Silas. Unfortunately the medicine doesn't work on Joey, who says his final words to his parents and dies in his bed. He finds the sign Emma painted years ago and covers it up. Then he goes to the library and starts throwing and destroying the books in a fit of fury. At the house, they bury Joey with a few more people who couldn't survive the virus either and they hold a small funeral. A few days later Ish goes on a hike and finds a beautiful view of the perfect sunrise, which shows what the world has become. A year later, Ish finally forces himself to enter Joey's room. While picking up all the unused things, he discovers Joey's diary. The boy had wanted to find more people even if Ish didn't agree, and he had started to design a diagram for a radio with its own antenna. Wanting to celebrate his son's legacy, Ish tells the others they have a new project to work on together. Eventually the radio is finished and the antenna is installed on top of the house. The machine does work, but for now nobody answers. Ish spends every waking hour trying every single frequency, hoping someone out there eventually will come through. Everyone was hung up on statistics, measuring, and ranking everything. Hearing this causes Heather to remember the numbers with the arrow and Ish realizes they're a frequency. The group rushes to the radio and tries Heather's numbers. After a few minutes of silence, they finally get an answer. There's a 77-member community less than 100 miles away at what used to be a state park. After some discussion, Ish's group invites these survivors to join their community. 50 years after the beginning of the pandemic, an old Ish passes his hammer to Heather's oldest son. Ish tells him that his last lesson is that men and women come and go but the earth abides. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.